Mm-hmm.
So we are now live. You've been listening to Sirenscape's Foggy Sinks in the Curse of Strahd soundtrack, just to set the theme for where you're going tonight. So, we are session 96, or Phase 3, Season 1, Episode 7. It's been split up to make it a bit easier to figure out where you are and chase down previous adventures. Online today we have M. Why don't you introduce your character?
Hello, I play Zal, your ever-level cleric wizard. I am going through a bit of a crisis of identity at the moment. Last session I almost became a vampire and ate all my friends, and now we're going back to the Fade Arc, where I hope that doesn't happen again.
It depends. Are you going to
Josh for typing failed ranger in the chat.
So does that mean that
I refuse to say it?
So does that mean that you have remembered not to eat the food of the Feydark?
I'll probably get yelled at by the paladin if I try to. In fact, I would probably get knocked out by the paladin if I try to.
That's okay. I'm sure you can talk the paladin into eating it.
I'm sure I could. Yeah, have this jerky that I didn't steal from the table.
We'll get Josh to introduce himself when he's available. And at the table today we have Izzy.
Hi, how's it going?
So, would you like to describe your character?
Sure. I'm playing Samir. She is a sky elf, so bit of an angel-looking wonder. She is a sorcerer bard, and she has a particular propensity towards lightning and thunder. She is drawn to the crash and bang of music. Let's be honest here. She wants to be a rock star. She's into that kind of heavy, loud music, and when she's angry, you're going to know about it. She will be loud, and well, you might not hear it after that, but we'll see.
Okay, so as a recap for the story, they signed up in phase 2 to work for someone by the name of Redrian, who got them to investigate the strange goings of gods, religions, and places around the world. Because the gods are quite crazy at the moment. Think of a world where the gods do walk amongst the people, where there's about 180 in the pantheons. It's not just one pantheon, there are pantheons. And that they cover so many aspects of life that there's quite a lot of overlap. The elves in particular have two main camps that people know about. There's the surface elves, who have followed the god Ilsundal, and that god has stated that technology is evil and elves should stop advanced technology from happening. So that's generally anything that runs on electronics is considered the devil, because Ilsundal was there when humanity blew up part of the world with technology.
Well, I can understand why he would hold that grudge.
And so the other camp of elves are the techno elves, who hide underground in the Shadow Realm, and they have an offshoot known as the Blood Elves, who deal in non-elf sacrifice. You'd say human sacrifice, but they're not human, so they don't really care about referring to humans, so it's non-elven sacrifice is what they work towards.
Oh dear.
And it's not cannibalism unless you're eating elves.
Sentience. Okay. Yep.
Well, when you can talk to an animal and to a plant and to a rock, what can you talk to that doesn't have the capacity to talk back to you? In the magical world, you have access to all those abilities.
You do also have the capacity just to sustain yourself with magic, I would have thought, if you're going down that way. So you're actively choosing in this place.
But you can talk to inanimate objects as well, so you can actually talk to the food you create from magic and have it talk back to you.
I'm sure the paladin would be happy to hear that.
I mean,
and know for a fact that he could have talked with rock.
Yeah. So when I point this out to people, they sort of look at you in horror as you tell them that for a fact they can talk to absolutely anything in the game, even nothing, and have it talk back to them.
That's true. I mean, by the same token, I would suggest you could probably convince it to say that it likes being eaten when you're going to eat it. So, this is a delicate moral line to walk.
Well, they did it in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
It's true.
And so
you're going to have fun when you meet the rest of Zol's animals.
They are against all bits of nature.
They are. So now that we have Josh, why don't you introduce yourself, Josh?
Hello, I'm Josh. I play Cheval, the Paladin.
Which you get seared into your brain every time you look at her.
It'll get progressively longer each time.
He adds more per level.
Yeah.
For each day.
Yeah, for each day. So, as we were discussing before, things when characters see their god because they died, they had to sacrifice something. So technically, I was at that point in time. I think it was a 5th level paladin with 1 level of warlock. So I was being a sneaky paladin trying to steal the powers of my god. I died, and then I gave back the powers of my god. And also, I've been cursed with with me basically screaming paladin in everyone's face whenever they see me.
It's because his god didn't like sneakiness.
Okay. Nope.
So his god is known as a lawbringer.
You can see me coming from miles away, and you'll just get paladin screaming in your face.
Look, I might try to incorporate that into a song or something like that. I think that might work.
Okay, so
when we need to be sneaky, we put like a
Like
Silence. I'm gonna talk Burka over the paladin because if you can see her skin, then it's pretty paladin.
Yeah.
You can't see her skin, it's fine.
Who's that?
She loves showing off.
Who's that traveling with you? That's our friendly ghost.
Yes, because at the time he hadn't let anyone know he was a paladin, walked into an area that absolutely hates paladins, and then called upon the power of his god in that area.
Yeah.
So the god was going, not again.
Yeah. So we walked into, I think it was Zal's.
Galantry.
We walked into Galantry, and then something happened, and Zal became older. So then I was just like, dear ever-loving God, to back, give youth back to Zal. Rolled a natural 20 and supernova the entire town.
So
Because Tuvok is the god of sun, basically.
he's the sun god of the setting. He is. There are 5 elements in there, and he represents the element of energy and fire. And he is the persona of the sun. So when they're in an area that's not seen sunlight in centuries, he burnt away all the clouds around them and basically bathed the area in direct sunlight.
Torched it.
And that sunbeam followed them all the way out, so the undead that were trying to beat them up for daring to bring sun towards them couldn't step into the light.
Well, at least you're protected.
And so they even had sunlight when it was nighttime, which really confused a lot of people.
Yeah, how long did that last? It lasted like 3 or 4 days, didn't it?
It lasted close to a week.
Oh, week.
And those who needed sleep were scratching at their
And
skin by
weeks
the end
worth
of
of
it.
vitamin D.
Okay, so and to say where the winged elves come from. So the characters are on the western side of the main continent. Think of a continent as big as Europe and Russia. So think of yourself on the American side of Russia, and your character comes from the England side of the continent.
Okay.
And it's not a small continent either. I think I have the book here. I've got the books floating around in different places, so I'll show you an actual colour map of the area. So they have this area here. See these little islands here?
Yep.
This is the area that the party's in.
Okay.
Your character comes from over here,
Right. Yep.
called the Immortals Arm.
Okay.
And to put that into a better perspective for you, this here is, I think it's 24 miles per hex.
I've flown a long way.
You may not have flown.
Yeah.
There is a character who will pull people out the back of his wagon from space and time.
Okay. I'm gonna need GPS or something to tell me where I am, because... What?
And the unique thing is he can do it across dimensional boundaries.
Wonderful.
Which he proved to them in one of the game nights. I think it was the Tuesday game night when they kept having characters show up in another world from the world they came from.
Okay. Sure.
It's like, how did we get here? You don't want to know.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so
At this point, we don't ask Razzle questions.
Just accept the chaos that has been.
Pretty
So-
much.
with the thing of there being 5 elements, each element is closely associated with one of the main elements we know. So air is thought, water is time, earth is matter, but the 5th element is darkness associated with entropy.
Okay.
So entropy's main goal is balance, and so are all the other ones. But balance with them on top.
Yes.
So we want balance, but we want to be in control.
Yes, it's I like peace, but as long as I have the biggest stick.
Yes. With that thing in mind, there is a country off to the side this way that has the biggest army in the world. It has declared war on this country over here, the country up here, and here then declared war on that country, because it turns out that the god of Galantry has delved into what the fire god Ixion considers forbidden magic.
Ah.
and told him to stop. He said no.
Hmm.
So they have gotten the Alphatian Empire to embark on a genocidal campaign to wipe out that entire region of living people,
Okay.
which will also wipe out elves completely, because the country in here currently is one of the main sources of elves, and they have a tree of life that the elves are connected to.
Take the tree down, take out the elves.
If the tree dies, all the elves die.
Yeah, that's not okay.
And they just fall over. There's no warning, no nothing. They're just gone.
Leave the tree alone.
Your character was part of a campaign to keep the mother tree alive, which is where your people are, before you got shanghaied and brought elsewhere. And that war has been going on for about 3 game years now, and has no sign of finishing, because the gods of entropy and destruction, specifically destruction, are trying to take the tree out.
Okay.
And to make the elves even unhappier, the only reason they're surviving is the techno-elves have shown up to help them.
Ah, okay. Yep.
So you got the elves with the people that they absolutely hate helping them to keep alive.
Yep. So both branches of elves are basically just saying, we'll put aside our differences temporarily because we need to live.
There's been no agreement on putting aside their differences.
Okay. We just
just
need
that
to live.
Both of them realise that if the Tree of Life is taken out, they both die. The techno-elves are unsure if they're truly connected to it, because none of them are descendants of the people Ilsandel took control of. But gods be crazy and can make everyone else pay for stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Gods are crazy.
So another thing for your character is someone by the name of the Master is invading from this direction, and they've just found out that he's questing to become a god.
Okay.
If he so much as touches the Tree of Life, there are 7 in that forest. All elves die. He becomes a god.
Okay.
And they've just had a campaign of him pushing forward. He's managed to get to the lake here. He hasn't managed to get past the lake. They spent the start of this season fighting him off.
Okay.
So now that it's gone into summer, his forces are in decline. He doesn't operate well in summer. And he's just holding his line, because if you cross his line, you step into entropy.
Yep.
And he's in control of entropy right now in his zone. So he takes control of anyone who steps over his boundary. So that's why no one's been able to take him out.
Yep.
And titans of the world who wake up maybe one every 100 or 1,000 years or so. Party have seen 2 to 3 titans awake in this game year alone.
Okay.
So it's a whole compilation of events that are the strangest things that have happened so far. And a bunch of warmongering tribes have banded together for the first time in history.
Yep, and it's a bad time to be an elf.
It is. There is an elven forest on this side of Galantry that is currently suffering from an undead invasion. So they're not exactly sure what's going to happen with that nation, because the players undermined the country. They were supposed to save it, and they ended up turned on them.
Oh no.
So it was their choice. So that's going to mean that's how the story goes.
There are consequences.
So when they turned on them, all they knew is their characters were out of the campaign.
Yeah.
I do have a standing rule that evil characters aren't in play. Your characters are lawful, neutral, and chaotic. Good and evil is how you play it. And if a character goes really evil, then it becomes an NPC and disappears.
That's okay.
And if I think it's doing something really bad, I'll give you a warning. It's not just, oh, by the way, your character's now gone. It's like, are you sure you really want to do that? That's not really a nice thing to do.
Alright.
And so the other characters have been tasked with finding out how vampires are getting to this nation from all over the world.
Oh dear.
So if you cross this border here and you have knowledge of why the gods are fighting, the gods will kill you within 24 hours to a week. There are 3 factions of gods fighting at the moment, and each one of those factions has a reason for anyone who knows about the war not to enter that country.
Right. Okay.
And so you've got the gods of good fighting the gods of good right now.
So we're trying to find out how vampires are getting in.
Yeah.
Because crossing in there ourselves, because
they're crossing many nations without any other nation seeing them.
Ooh.
So there's a nation of dwarves here, Rockholm. This is a Genghis Khan style plane where most of the characters come from. And the area that they're getting into is in this side here of Galantry. So they'd have to cross across here, and there's nowhere to hide.
Yes, okay.
If you were to fly over, you can't fly over it during the day if you're a vampire. And the fact that they're getting there's a bunch of vampires in there that's cause for concern. So there's also some from down here, which is where the characters went into the Feywild Dark to get over to there, and there's some from other places they don't know as well.
Interesting.
And a Wednesday night character and Zal's character are both related to some of the vampires, as the vampires is their ancestor.
Oh dear. Okay.
So when you have a vampiric ancestor. Interesting. But it was before they became a vampire.
Yeah. Okay, I guess.
And the vampire is also an ancestor of one of the gods. Because all the gods were mortal.
And you can understand why my character is having an identity crisis.
Yeah, look, I get that as well. Oh dear.
And the fact that I almost turned into a vampire last session was...
Oh no, technically you were a vampire last session. You just hadn't taken the final step.
Yeah, well, like, it was pretty damn close.
Well, you got to choose how far you went.
Yeah, I don't know.
The main reason you didn't turn into a vampire was that you did not actually intentionally take blood from someone.
Mm.
That was the only line you didn't cross. Okay, where did I put that?
It looked close, though.
You did. I'm sure I can get you close again.
I'm sure Zal won't make many, many bad life choices again.
Just trying to find where I hid all my books. So that's Tuesday night stuff. That one is currently Wednesday night's one. I'm sure I can find it quickly. So, did you want to pass on anything else about what had been happening to them, Em and Josh?
Yeah, so we have found a werewolf who was in the dungeon of the Feywild when we were in there last session, or a few sessions before. And I think he only been in there, like a month or something.
Well, he didn't know how long because he'd never seen the sun rise or set. It was always the same conditions.
Yeah, but it didn't sound like he'd been there awfully long. But because of the time dilation between the real world and the Feywild, what he described was like 2,000 years now past.
Oh dear.
And he came with us through the portal at the end of last session and was gone by the time we woke up in the morning. So he's in for a surprise. So I don't think anyone actually told him that he's something a little different.
Yeah, he's I mean, for a rude awakening.
Well, he was someone who'd been around before the culture that's there took over from the culture that he belonged to, and that culture has since then been taken over by another culture.
Okay. Very rude awakening when he gets back, I think.
It's like going into an alternate dimension with typewriters and then hanging out with decimal PCs.
Okay, so yes, they have just transferred themselves back into the Fey Dark after a debate about whether or not they should go back, because they hadn't really found out what was going on.
Yep.
They just
I mean,
managed to
it
survive.
wasn't a debate so much as like, oh shit, we left our friends, or some of our friends.
It's understandable.
We left some of our friends behind in our NPC was like, and you didn't actually investigate anything while you were down there. We're like, fine, we'll go back.
Hey, it's not as bad as that one where half the party decided to give up the adventure 18 sessions in
Oh no.
and return home and then be told, so did you find out what was going on there? No. So the party split into those who wanted to go back and find out, turning into NPCs, and the rest of the party being shuffled on with new members.
That's what I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a bad, like, a few sessions at the end of that.
Yes.
Well, that's what happens when you challenge an avatar of a god without finding out their weaknesses.
Yep.
And they were using physical weapons against it too.
Okay.
And it was an avatar of entropy. Didn't quite work out the way they expected.
So those are a thing you run from, not a thing you fight.
Well, there was a way to beat it. They just had to go through some trials. When they found that out, that was nope.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, so you entered back into the Fey Dark. You have with you, at the moment, I believe it is Chauvel, Zal, and Drazzle, your Dragonborn.
Yes.
Yay.
Because last time they came in here, they forgot to bring him. They said, we grabbed Blar and Blar. I was like, okay.
Bye, Razzle, don't you?
And they turn around and go, so we asked Drazzle something. Yes, Drazzle's not here.
Oh no. We left Drazzle sleeping at the camp.
Drazzle sat at the end of the portal, one all popped back and said, so you guys did nothing? We're like, yes.
Oh, actually, I have a really good question for Drazzle. How the hell did he know where the exit was? Or do I not know? No. He was at the barracks when we left.
He was at the barracks when you left, and he made his way out to where you were going to pop out because he told himself later in his life where you popped out.
Oh, right, yeah, so magic voodoo bullshit.
He will refer to things that are going to happen in most of his speech. He says, oh, you'll tell me about that later, as he gives you information.
Mm-hmm.
Wibbly, wobbly, timey-wimey bullshit.
But he doesn't exist in the normal flow of time.
No?
Okay, so yes, but you also notice that you've got with you a winged elf who's looking a bit startled as to how she's suddenly appeared in this realm of darkness, looking like an angelic elf. You do recognize Drazzle because he's one of the commanders in the armies protecting the Mother Tree of Life.
Okay.
You've known him for at least 4 years now.
Understood. Drazzle, where am I? This is... What?
He points down bridge.
Okay.
Drazzle? Who is that?
He points to Sahi and Samir and says, friend.
Okay. Hi, friend. I'm Zal.
Hi, I'm Samir. I think it's nice to meet you. Drazzle's obviously brought me here for some reason.
Drazzle nods.
Excellent.
So you also find your character would be about 7 to 8 feet in, or 6 to 8 feet in height is your choice in that one.
About 7 feet tall.
As Drowsel's sitting on 8 feet, most humans sit about 4 to 5.
Yeah, and I've got a wingspan.
So not only do you tower over the person that just said hi, you probably tower over the paladin, which is hilarious. Please drop that in.
So what I say, I'm 6'6", so not by much.
But hey, when she puts her wings up, she definitely towers over you.
Yes.
Stretch.
Let's just arch the wings up a little bit. Just.
Like, I love you.
Fluff them up a little bit just for a bit of a show. He's not going to tell me. Where are we?
I think before you can answer, it probably like writes hell across the landscape. Either that or my that skull just starts singing my name again. So actually, did he stop?
He has stopped, but you do see sitting on Zal's side a clear globe with a vampire skull in it, with red glowing eyes.
What? What? Why? What? Please.
This is Dad. He transformed when I did. I'm not sure how to fix him.
Is he a danger?
I don't think so. He's only ever said mostly my name, a few cryptic poems, and I think one warning.
Uh-huh.
And then other than that, he mostly just says my name in Celestial.
Don't worry, that's just been over 90 odd sessions.
Lots.
There's a lot to unpack. Okay, so we're in hell. Which one?
You look around you, you see that there's almost no light here whatsoever. Everything here is shades of grey and dark. Looking over the side of the bridge, you see that there's what looks to be an ocean of blood.
This is not much better than home, but okay.
And looking ahead into the distance in front of you is 4 giant tentacles wibbling up either side of the walkway that walks between them.
Good to know our friend still hasn't worn out. It'll be fine. They won't attack us.
Why am I here?
Useful.
Yes, I try to be. What are you doing here? Zal.
He pats Zal on the back and says, helping.
Helping, okay.
We're trying to find out. Well, I guess we have a clue now that it has something to do with my very convoluted family history. And we're trying to find out what that means. Oh, and rescue our friends, and actually possibly find out where the vampire lord is. But that's later problem.
Okay. I just got shanghaied from a war, so I'm just trying to get my head around everything that's going on and why I'm needed here instead of there. But all right.
Oh, you've been part of the war effort too? Awesome.
I have a vested interest in living, so protecting the tree is high on that priority list.
Yeah.
I don't know how else I'd put that. But since we're in some godforsaken place,
God's here, Dressel says.
Some, maybe.
Many.
Yeah, try not to think about it too much.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, that does make my life easier. I try not to think. Okay.
According to
The one who screams paladin when you look at them.
That's loud.
Yeah, you don't actually hear the words, you just feel them seared into your brain.
Okay. That happened.
Oh, you look at the paladin?
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't do that anymore. You learn very quickly to not look at the paladin when you talk to them.
Well, that's good to know. All right. How can I help? I guess I'm here.
Exploring, I point to what I think is the castle we were at.
Well, you can't see it from this point. You know you had to sort of start walking across the pathways. And considering distance and time is sort of very much interchangeable when you're in one of the Fey realms.
Okay. Can I... Are they... Is someone going to be able to tell me more than hell? Is, like, where are we?
That's up to them to actually tell you.
I think
Okay, roll a
we're in
knowledge
the
check or something,
realm
but...
of my, I guess, earliest ancestor that I might know of now, who happens to be a vampire lord.
Okay.
And I think it's the Feydark. Oh, and there's also this other god that I almost called upon like 3 times, and who's promised me things, but that's not the first time it's happened, so yeah.
Okay.
It's given part of her name, his name, to a dark Fey.
Ooh. Okay.
Not intentionally. It just happens. Which is often the case with this
And
party.
then stated there's no way that it can affect them inside their circle. So it shot them with an arrow.
Okay, I think...
Because I tried to use logic. And logic stabbed me in the back. Actually, I think it stabbed the paladin in the back, but anyway.
You're not unconscious for it.
Yeah, it was. It was right.
Okay. Well, Drazzle's brought me here, and everything is odd, but alright, let's make the best of this. I don't see that there's much else I can do. So, what's next? Where are we going?
Drazzle looks at Zal.
Well, as I said, I think, and I point to the castle that I think we were exploring before. We were in this castle, and that's where we found the werewolf. And it has lots of moving rooms and changes its layout every once in a while. So I don't think we quite finished exploring it properly, but if we wanted to explore somewhere else, I'm not going to object to that either.
As you look around, you see that the pathway is always pointing whichever direction you're looking.
That's disconcerting. Okay.
So technically you can walk any direction you want over the water.
The tentacles bother me a little, but...
And the tentacles move with the bridge.
Okay.
Oh yeah, don't worry about those. They won't attack, I think.
Did you have to put that caveat at the end?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you weren't there when they were summoned.
Okay.
And the summoner doesn't know you, so...
I mean, you could try flying
I definitely
around them.
could try that.
They haven't tried flying here yet.
Well, it is my first inclination.
Given that none of us, apart from you now, obviously, can, fly, that's a pretty obvious thing that we haven't tried.
Yes, because Drazzle also has wings and they didn't bring him last time.
Well, I guess, given that I'm the guest, new, please take the lead. We need someone to tell me what's going on and make a choice, because I clearly don't have enough information to move on here.
Martin, is the castle that we're exploring, is that still under, the multitude of my names in the sky?
It is not. And you're not exactly sure which direction it is.
Okay.
Because whichever way you look, the tentacles are. Which was your guidepost last time. They haven't quite. This is only their second journey into the dark phase, so they don't actually know how it works.
Well, being told that I'm here to help doesn't give me that much information to go on here. So,
well, it's more than he usually gives people.
I appreciate that. I assume that's due to our long-running friendship, but
Which is also considered fairly wordy for him.
Wonderful.
He normally points to things.
I appreciate the support.
And
So-
as we start walking,
Which way do you walk?
I think we headed west last time.
Okay, Zal gets to make a whole survival roll,
A survival roll. Alrighty.
which will determine how well you remember which way is west.
Given that there's no actual physical reference at all.
While west is completely in the mind of the person leading. West could literally be upwards.
Yes.
I mean, at this point, I would not be surprised if I started, like, looking and thought, go up. Things would just work. What is it? Okay. Sorry, what's the survival one?
Survival, yes.
Favorite dice coming to the rescue. Natural 20.
Natural 20.
So 28.
Okay, so you start walking off in the direction you think is west. It's obviously west, you're correct. You're always correct. I would have said that if you had rolled a natural one.
I don't know.
You'll be walking the other direction.
Yes. I wouldn't actually be walking west. I would be walking, I don't know.
Well, you don't know if you're walking west.
Well, that's also true, but more than likely you're going to end up in the spot that I actually want to end up in this case.
Okay, and as you start walking, about 5 minutes after you start walking, you see a castle in the distance, almost like it came out of the fog. And then a moment later, you're in front of the gates of the castle that looked like it was more than a mile away.
Well, that was weird.
You don't fly this fast.
No. I was saying I'm going to stay walking for the moment, not to put myself up into the air and become a target until I know what's going on.
You also have a feeling as if you've walked all that time, but you don't remember walking that time.
This place is weird. Alright. I'll just go to roll with it, I guess. I literally don't have a choice.
And as you enter through the gates, you see a guy appear before you asking, who are you and why are you here?
Is it the same guy from last time?
It is.
Do I have to answer this again?
He looks at you closer and goes, who are you?
You realise we spent a little bit of time on the surface world, which would have been an eternity, don't you?
And there
It's
is,
the same guy.
and there's no guarantee you haven't gone forward or backwards in time.
That is a good point.
You may have actually arrived here before you came here last time.
Yay! I am Zal.
Oh, we have a Zal here already.
I am the same Zal, I think.
Well, you can catch up with yourself in the banquet room if you wish. I'm sure you can sit down and have a bite with yourself.
Uh-huh.
He points off into the side, into the distance.
Good to know. I will certainly think about it.
Okay, so
Okay,
as you
no.
state that, give me a will saving throw.
There it is. You can have +5.
Luckily, the paladin is standing beside you this time.
Yes, he actually is.
And is willing to care for the fellow adventurer. Last time I was still standing beside her, but I didn't care.
Well, that's because he was trying to bite your character.
I know.
After
No, you would find me up like a T-bone steak. Shut up.
it also inflicted the most damage the paladin's taken in the entire campaign
Oh dear.
with magic missile.
Oh.
Yeah, because her magic missile turned into 3 pillars of like blood.
Solidified blood.
Yeah, that was pretty epic.
Nasty.
Not why would I want
That was the reason. That was probably one of the many reasons why I knocked you unconscious as soon as we got out of this area.
Yeah.
And the statement was, "I'm not going to overcast this."
Yes.
I wanted to. I just wanted a little bit of blood. 60 points of damage. Like.
No. I'm not going to cast it up because I know what more than 3 magic missiles hitting paladin. Which
Okay.
if I had cast it up,
I only wanted a little bit of blood, and then it transformed into that, and I got 60 points worth of that.
I'm pretty sure if I cast it up, it would just like instant kill
You
you.
probably would.
Unless I roll 1. But that would be funny.
Well, there would have been no roll of a 1 because there's no attack roll with magic
There's
missile.
no attack roll.
Oh, that's right.
Nice.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's why I did that.
So, what did you get on your will saving throw, Em? Wisdom saving throw.
With the paladin's towel, I got a 31.
You got a 31. Okay, so as you get that almost pull to go to the banquet hall, you get this vision of yourself seated at the head of the table, waiting for everyone else to arrive.
Oh?
What's going on?
Okay. Interesting. That's a bit different. Do I look different in this vision?
Oh, you look good in the vision. Very good.
Very
Powerful even. You look like you're in charge and able to do whatever you want.
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. Yeah, exactly. So I see myself smile in my vision.
You don't, but you look at yourself and wink. As you believe your vision's looking at you right now.
Sorry, Martin. My headset cut out when I went to the door. Can you say that
That's
again,
okay.
please?
You see your vision of you that you're staring at look at you directly and wink.
Okay. Not creepy at all.
And then the vision cuts out.
Hmm.
Hello, me.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
I do believe Josh will end up playing a bard next time so he can sing more.
Didn't have to drop a tune.
Yes. I have to actively restrain myself to not sing in most of our campaigns.
It doesn't work. Just saying.
No.
We can start a rock group, don't worry, it'll be fine.
One of the previous characters was a bard who specialised in teenage angst as his way of performing.
Oh, I appreciate that.
He did that once he gave up his musical instrument to his god for dying.
Okay.
But anything can happen.
Yep, I guess.
And he did change sex, race, and class many times after that.
Well, you've got to diversify, I suppose.
Well, he went from teenage angsty dwarf to Disney princess elf.
I approve the glow up. Okay.
His character was very confused.
We got there in the end, it's fine.
Everyone was disappointed when the female Disney elf turned back into the male angsty dwarf, so one of the characters made a wish to their god and brought him back again.
I like it.
Yes. Well, it was all because his animal companion was depressed because its mistress was no longer there. So he made the animal companion happy.
Oh dear.
So, M, everyone's looking at you again as you're making strange noises.
Am I just like gurgling like?
That's completely up to you because you were sort of looking and making some sort of weird noise, and everyone just. And when you come back to yourself, you notice everyone's looking at you.
Don't mind me. Just having a very weird vision of myself looking great, but yeah, not entirely sure what to make of it.
Russell pipes up and says, "Future or past?"
Future, I think.
He tilts his head to the side and shrugs, going, "Not great future."
I don't know what to make of that, Drazzle.
Drazzle not think you should be bitey.
That's very talkative today.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I was bitey or if I was something else.
Drazzle nods and says yes.
Sigh. Very deep sigh.
He feels satisfied as if he's explained everything.
Mm-hmm.
He had to use a lot of words today so far.
Yes, we appreciate your explanations, Drazzle.
He pats you on the head. He does that to a lot of people too.
I see.
His version of healing is a hug.
Well, that's nice.
He started out when he was about 5.5 feet tall when he was doing it. He didn't mind it so much, but when he got to the 8 feet tall and was still doing it...
Kind of take it or leave it at that point. Yep.
No one said no to him yet.
I bet. Alright. Where to next?
So I'm not entirely sure if the vision I saw was one, not a vision, and like actual current events, or not, but I was in the dining hall, or are in the dining hall, so I suggest avoiding that like the plague.
Okay, so as you say that, where did I put my nice little dice? There it is. Okay, so as you say, you avoiding that like the plague, I will give you a charisma saving throw.
Do I still get +5 being intelligent?
You do.
I do.
Well, you do.
Unless you know.
I would assume it's been multiple rounds since you.
Sorry if it's a bit cold.
No, that's fine.
My wife can't control her heat, so.
It's whenever you or a friendly creature within that really must make a saving throw. There you go.
Yeah, it can be done every round, I believe.
Yep.
24.
24. Okay, so you notice that you said that you meant to say we should avoid that place, but you told everyone we should start there.
Okay. Well, lead on.
Alright, I'll be there.
It's just so we don't get an insight or anything on this.
Well, she doesn't sound any different from what she said beforehand. So unless people are going, is every sentence going to be changed? And unless she speaks up and says, that's not what I meant to say. So what does Zal do, realizing that you've just had your words changed on you?
I kind of shake my head and don't start moving. And try and say what I meant to say again.
Okay, give me another charisma saving throw. So you don't get the bonus from the paladin who had started moving on.
was going to say, I've started to walk towards the dining room.
I'm gonna stick close. I don't know what's going on.
11.
An 11. Okay, so you try to say the same thing you're going. You said, and you find yourself saying, "Don't wait up. I'll meet you there."
I'm gonna turn around and say, "Is this really the time to be splitting up in this place?"
And as you turn around, you can't see Zal.
Oh God.
And you hear, as you say that, you hear this voice going, "Yes."
Apologies.
Oh yeah, don't say the G word.
Force of habit.
Don't worry, I get caught out by
And the voice continues going, "Which one were you looking for?"
Yeah. Or GEI is the next one.
God damn it, can really call your god to your presence to go, "Who am I damning?" And if you can't give them a good answer of why you'll summon them to damn someone, you might be the one damned.
Message received. Well,
Like I said, the gods are active.
yes.
Don't worry, I get tripped up by it all the time.
So you do hear the voice saying, which one are you trying to get?
Okay.
You want me to pass on a message?
Message off with the beep.
I still have to figure out which god I belong to. So.
All the elves do follow the god Ilsandal.
But I'm quite partial to storms.
There is Erendil, the trickster god, who's also an air god. Holy symbol is the outline of the Cheshire Cat's smile.
Just a big grin. I have to admit that does sound like fun. Given.
It's okay, he's been tormenting this part in particular for quite some time. Every time they try to remember doing something which caused one of the elven nations to fall, they lose their memories.
Yes, it's annoying.
Oh dear. Okay. Oh, that's just so. I'm gonna have to think on that for a minute.
That's okay. I can wait to hear in your head.
Thank you. I appreciate this.
Followed by, me too. Me too.
Okay. Yep.
Okay, so as Chauvel and Drazzle continue walking on, and then you find yourself seated at the table like your vision had shown.
Oh, voice to Chauvel and Drazzle. That
as you see Chauvel, Drazzle, and Simir. It won't take me a while to remember the name. I'll say it enough times.
just call it Sam. It's fine.
Walk into the room to a banquet table full of a Ethengarian feast. So lots of large birds cooked on the table with various yak meats and natural vegetables and
Lovely.
a nice smell of a feast. And really weird organ music in the background that sounds very festive and unlike an organ.
Oh, that's different.
And
Welcoming.
when you see Zal is wearing resplendent dress very similar to that of the Khan of Khans, which is also slightly blasphemous, but hey. It's not like it's the first time she's done something blasphemous.
I'm getting that impression.
Well, necromancy is also a evil word in her country.
Oh.
Her parents were executed for being necromancers by Josh's character.
Okay.
Which is how she inherited her father's skull down the line. So, you see Zal sitting at the head of the table, looking a bit bemused as you walk in.
How am I looking bemused? I'm probably I'm freaking out inside.
Just because you're freaking out inside doesn't mean you don't look bemused.
Yep. Doesn't look like you're about to show down and make a mistake again.
Gestures to the table and says, "Eat up, eat up."
Mm-hmm.
Care to explain?
I race over,
Yep.
grapple Zal, and pick her up out of the seat.
Okay, give me a charisma saving throw.
Sure.
It's only about this time I expect Josh to roll a 1.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say, I think I need to help, but I'm not exactly a grappler.
33.
33. Okay, you reach for Zal, and your reach is so strong that your hands seem to pass right through his neck and grabbing the chair behind it. And that's when you realise Zal was never here. You left Zal in the foyer.
I really dislike in this place.
And looking behind you, you see the meal that your parents used to make for you when you were sick or sad sitting on the table. Even has your favourite bowl that you used to eat out of every day as a child.
I still have the knowledge of where we are.
You do.
And I'm not going to touch it.
And then you see Zal walk in the room behind you. And what does Zal say walking into the room after having everyone ignore you for the last 5 minutes?
Guys, what are you doing in here?
You were there.
You told us to come here, and then you were sitting here, about to make the same mistake you did last time.
I said we should not come here.
That is not what you said.
Well, then you guys walked off and ignored me yelling at you. It's like I wasn't there.
You weren't? And then you were here.
And then she was there.
But I wasn't there. That's what my vision was. That's what I said. That's why I didn't want to come here. So it's spooky magic voodoo.
Then you hear dramatic organ music play in the background.
Do you like that music?
Let's see.
Oh great, and it looks like the lord of the household is possibly gonna grace us with his illusionary presence.
Oh, very nice, yes.
Not spooky at all.
Just need the drum.
Yeah. Not as bad as it was last time.
No, definitely not as creepy as it was last time.
Though you do see on the back of the chair that Cheval had tried to grab you on, Zal's name written on there, as if it had been carved in there eons ago.
Well, that's just weird.
And looking around the banquet hall, you see paintings of Zal's parents and Zal.
Is this your
No.
home?
No, I'm pretty sure they weren't here last time.
And both the mother and father have red lines across their necks.
Ah, so that's how you killed them. Not a pretty way to go.
Well, he did behead them.
Yeah, I'm not sure if my character knew that or not. I just knew that Cheval had killed them, and I probably never really wanted to find out how.
And Cheval recognizes that they're dressed in the same manner they were when he executed them. Not creepy at all.
No, not creepy at all.
This is gruesome. And I just came from a war.
And you see Drazzle opening his book and start drawing the picture.
What are you drawing?
He draws pictures of many things he sees.
Okay.
Do you really need to report this, Drazzle?
Drazzle will look at you and nods.
Okay.
I mean, it's not the funnest point in my early youth. But okay.
Is there anything else around the room?
There's the grand organ sitting there at the back, looking quite easy to play. You might be able to rock out on the organ. You can just feel your fingers, itching to play a tune.
Do you guys mind if I'm gonna go have a look over there.
Each step you take closer to it, you can hear a sort of bass starting to pick up.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna slowly make my way towards the organ.
And everyone else starts to hear the bass start to pick up as the winged elf makes it to the organ.
Yeah. Zobra was like, I wouldn't play, and then he probably starts to play it.
So,
Yeah, she does.
performance roll.
Sure. I got advantage on these? I can't remember. What's my performance? I've proficiency on performance and something else.
So proficiency should be at least +4 and your charisma
It's plus
bonus
5.
on top of that, so that'd be +9 to your roll.
Yeah, so 12. It's terrible. It's awful.
As you start playing it, you don't seem to be able to keep in tune with the music you hear around you. It's almost as if the music's mocking you with your inability to play as well as it can.
Yes,
And then the notes, no matter how quickly you hit them, don't come out in time to your key presses.
This is...
You just can't get the tempo right.
This is all wrong.
And you have flashbacks of you as a child getting reprimanded for not actually following the tempo.
That's why I don't play the organ, Mum. That's why I play the drums. Sorry, I went to a dark
It's
place
not as
then.
bad as what happened last Friday in our Pathfinder campaign. My character rolled really well in their performance thing, played an awesome tune, and then realised, roughly in the same setting, that my tune that I was playing was becoming more and more distorted. And not by my own volition.
So
My beautiful music was becoming awful.
So every time the music finished, it would start up again, but getting more notes wrong. Until there was not a single note right, and then it stopped.
Yeah, I was just disappointed in myself.
Yes, and everyone looks at the elf, and the elf looks like has regressed a few hundred years, and looks like a 10-year-old girl with wings.
Stole a child.
Oh no.
And you look up, everyone else is taller than you now. Your feet don't even touch the floor.
What did I...
We need to get out of here.
What?
Like, now.
If I take our
Oh,
if I take the mirror of the organ, does this doodle remain looking like a child?
Yes, you pick Samir up and put Samir down, and Samir is now shorter than you are.
What? What happened?
And you're even wearing the childhood clothes you were wearing when you were taking your piano lessons.
Oh.
I mean,
Oh.
it's all kind of froze. I was like, I tried to warn you.
And you can't
You
even
really
remember.
did. You said we had to come here first.
And you didn't remember that you wore pigtails as a kid, but now you've got them in.
This is before I dyed my hair.
Yes, and it's completely undyed. All natural.
Oh.
No. Not having this.
And as you look down at yourself, you realise there's something wrong. You don't seem to be male or female.
Oh no.
Oh,
God damn it.
And you hear this voice going, "You're welcome."
Thank you. Okay. This is the thing. I'm now a child. Again. I have to go through puberty. Again.
And you're thinking about the age you are. That's another 50 years of puberty.
No one should have to go through 2 puberties.
Which is why reincarnation brings you back just at the end of puberty.
Yep. Alright.
And are we watching this like
Just
mini tantrum slash?
yeah, I was
Revelation
stomping my
play out
feet
in
as
your
a,
life.
as a small.
You are. But as you're watching the tantrum, you do notice that the little child elf does have pointed teeth.
Oh dear. Because apparently even playing the organ turns you into a potential vampire.
just don't touch anything here.
No one told me anything.
I mean, to be honest, we don't really know how this place works either, so, you know. And I did genuinely try to say, don't come in here.
You did not say that. You said, go in there. That is what you said.
That's not what I said.
She also does point at you and say, "No bitey bitey."
Okay.
I will. So you realise you actually have fangs.
Yeah. Okay. That's new. Everything is new. Alright. Well, old. Young. This is confusing.
And even more confusing, when you start looking up at people, you can actually see their heart beating.
Yeah.
It's quite obvious to you.
Yeah.
You'd always hear people doing it. You never really paid any attention to it because everyone had it. Now you can actually see it. And the paladin's no longer searing paladin every time you look at it.
That's better. Thank you for getting out of my head.
And probably for the first time in a long time, someone's staring at the paladin.
I kind of look at the elf child staring at the paladin and I go, oh, that's not good. How many days was it between me starting that and going completely crazy in this place? It was like, what, 3?
No, all happened in the one day.
All happened in one day.
There was no,
Fantastic.
a day is a revolution of day and night.
Mm.
You never actually have sunrise here.
Drowsel, we might have a problem.
Drazel looks at you and says, "No bitey bitey."
Well, sure, if you can restrain the
The child.
angry elf child.
Tantruming elf child who stuffed up her song. One time I gotta make a good impression, show people what I'm good at, and then suddenly...
Well, you obviously had a god listening in.
Clearly.
Zol's like, a bit of sunshine, you'll be fine, don't worry. When we get out of here.
I could go for a good flight.
That's when you notice your wings aren't fully developed.
Oh, son of a...
And it's like, it only really fully develops for carrying you during puberty. You got to get through puberty again to fly. 50 more years on the ground.
Walking is such a burden. Oh.
Sorry, a guy just drove past our house with like 3 creep balls on his huge on. Because it's so dark.
It needs to blind the entire neighborhood.
Pretty much.
Oh, I'm just angry now.
Okay, give me a charisma check.
Yep, it's a 19, so 28.
28. Okay, so how does your character express her anger?
Oh, in a very me way.
Oh, the only thing that possibly that came to children and anger was Mia going flat, screaming her face off.
Oh, yeah, so I'm gonna do a rendition of my son and stomp on the ground, growl like I've the lead singer of a black metal band, and lightning and thunder are going to start like crackling and echoing around me as I'm just utterly irritated with myself and
As you do that, you see everyone in the room starts to get smaller.
Whoa, what?
Until they're about half your height.
Oh. Hang on.
I mean, apparently being angry makes you older.
And then when you calm down again, you shrunk.
Oh. Never mind.
What? Oh.
You gotta employ
So,
Hulk.
from the rest of the other...
Angry.
From the rest of the other people's perspective, you see this little child start to get angry. It looks like it's about to stamp its foot. Lightning starts to go around it, and it just balloons up to about 10 feet in size with majestic wings, muscles rippling, red glowing eyes. And then it sort of like stares down at you and pauses, and then shrinks back to a child.
That
Good to
was
know
intense.
vampire elf tantrums are that good.
Wow, I'm just...
You've never felt that powerful before.
that was a rush.
And then you had it all taken away.
Guess...
I look at Drazzle and I'm like, yeah, we have a problem.
Well, you see that he's actually drawn next to the picture of your parents on the wall, the elf as a child overlaid with the elf as the towering monstrosity.
Good to know that we'll have that in our prosperity.
Keep that in my pocket for later. Okay. Yeah, the child's just gonna sit and just sit on the ground and say, that was a rush. Okay.
Drazzle closes his book and looks at Zal and says, "Where next?"
I would like to find where that beating, floating heart thingy was in this place.
Okay.
Someone who's not the child should leave.
Well, these were all children to you at one point. Considering you were so much older than they were.
Yes, that is true to a point.
You've got the memories of your adulthood.
I do. And the body of my much younger self.
Yes. So, not quite the same.
Things are weird.
Though you did notice that until you became a child, you didn't feel the pangs of hunger.
I'm hungry now, am I?
Yes.
Yuck. Alright.
Okay, so yes, Zal, do you start taking them towards you found the beating heart?
I'll try to.
Okay. I will give your character a intelligence saving throw.
Intelligence. So is that a flat check?
No, saving throw. get to add your modifier and your proficiency if you're proficient in intelligence.
I am proficient, though I don't think I've done that correctly. What's our current
Proficiency bonus is +4.
Okay, so that should be. Oh, actually, I don't know. Because I use the circlet to boost my intelligence,
Mhm.
so my intelligence is +4.
Yep.
Does that mean my saving throw is +8 still?
It should be +8, yes.
It should be +8. Okay.
Using thing with items that give you a stat, if your stat gets better, your stat is downgraded to the item that gives you a stat. Because it doesn't improve or reduce, it specifies.
Okay.
That's how the 5th edition works with that. There are no item boostings for stats, there are item specifics. It was a really weird way they wrote it up.
That's. I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Well, you can have your intellect drained completely away and not notice until your intellect hits 0.
That's what I say until you're comatose.
Well, you don't notice because you're comatose.
How far is the paladin from me?
I would say the paladin is still at the chair looking at your name written in the side there. But no, you walked over to grab the child off the organ, so paladin's within range.
The paladin is range? Okay.
Yeah, +5.
22.
22. Okay, so you think you can quickly lead them there with your eyes closed. It's almost as if you know this place like the back of your hand.
Yeah, not creepy at all. Is my dad like suddenly giving directions, or am I just hearing nothing from him, which is very unusual?
You're hearing nothing from him, which is very unusual. Normally he'd be singing your praises.
Mm.
He hasn't sung your praise since he went from a human skull to a vampire skull.
Hmm. I'm going to contemplate that while we walk to our next destination.
Okay, so you walk down a hallway with marble statues all done up in renditions of Zal. Zal the Buff, Zal the Wise, Zal the Muse.
I thought I had an ego.
There is another one that says Zal the Everlasting.
Kind of pause in front of that and go, huh.
Are you sure you're even noticing that? You're deep in thought.
Yeah, probably not.
Give me a perception roll to see if your character actually notices.
Hmm?
So give me a perception roll to see if you even notice.
Perception. Wait, no. Where's my perception? 11?
An 11. Yeah, you just walk through this corridor of statues. There were statues here last time you came through, you're sure. And the last one they see as they pass through is a closest thing you'd see is angelic looking Zal with Zal the Almighty on there. And you find yourself in a chapel and you see all these banners that are dedicated to the goddess known as Yumuga, the Earth Dweller. Does your character have religion?
I have Jack of all trades.
Well, you can use that to find to do a religion roll.
Sure. 10.
10. You know are clear on what that's referencing. The other characters know because it's part of their culture.
Religion is... Oh no, hang on, so that should be 11, but I don't think that changes that. Yeah.
So what does Zal say after stepping into the chapel and seeing it redecorated in your goddess's name?
Because it was all, like, dilapidated last time, wasn't it?
It was.
I kind of look around in, I guess, awe, because I don't think I've ever seen such an extravagant uh,
Temple. Or this
temple.
could even be a major temple of Yamuga. You've never actually seen any of those because the Ethengarians don't build temples.
Yeah, I was going
They
to say
put
I
up
don't think
huts.
I've ever seen a temple or even such a glorious monument to my god ever.
And behind the white quartz altar, you see a statue in remembrance of your mother and father.
Hmm.
Though you only assume it's your father because your father's missing his head.
I kind of look down at the drip globe and look at the statue and wonder if I should reunite them.
Well, you know that the skull you've got really is your father's skull, whereas that statue doesn't have the rest of your father's body.
True.
So you wouldn't technically be reuniting anything at that point.
Okay.
But it would be interesting to see. Maybe it would come to life.
I mean, that would be really cool, but look at the fact that is currently like not his normal skull, it kind of has me worried.
What could be so worrying about bringing back someone from the dead in the presence of the person who killed him?
Well, I mean, hasn't his ghost already seen Shovel?
His ghost has not. Your mother's ghost has, and your mother's ghost tried to kill Chauvel.
Mm-hmm.
And
Was
then
it
she imbued your arrow with the ability to kill Chauvel if it so much as nicks her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know that. So where was Shovel when we went up to the mountain with Camdu?
I don't believe he was there at the time.
Right. Okay. So then my spirits would not have seen him. Okay. Cool. That's fine. Yes. Then that is not a very good idea at all. But
Though you do see your father's skull's eyes light up with excitement.
Like, really, Dad? Now all times?
Well, you have a feeling the skull read your mind.
Nah. Like, you currently look like a vampire, which is not good. I very much wish you looked like your old self.
Okay, give me a charisma saving throw.
I'm surprised you didn't ask me for a religion roll back there. Charisma?
Yep. And you get the +5 bonus from the paladin.
27.
Okay, as you're looking at your father's skull, you now see a severed head looking like your father's floating in the orb. Still with the red glowing eyes and the fang and the vampire fangs.
And does it look like the statue, or is it like actual like flesh and?
Oh, it looks like he did the last time you saw him in life.
Apart from the red glowing eyes and fangs.
And the part that his head was severed.
Well, yes, that too.
But it does look like you remember him.
Not quite what I meant by what you look like originally, but I guess that'll do for now. I kind of meant when you look like a normal human skull.
He just looks up at you and winks.
I mean, can you say anything apart from, anything new apart from my name now?
You see the lips move, but you don't hear anything. Then you realize the skull's inside a drift globe.
Then how did I hear it before?
You have no idea what's changed in the item to making him unable to speak to you. Maybe you have to break the drift globe open. I'm sure nothing bad will happen if you do that.
Yeah, I'm sure nothing bad will happen at all. I mean, so many changes. All at one time. I am going to go to the altar and start praying.
Okay. So apparently our cleric is quite easy to distract from her purpose.
No. I'm not distracted. I'm going to ask for some guidance.
Okay. So you sit down and now give me a religion roll as you call out to the powers of the Fey Dark for guidance.
I think Yamuga, even though we're in the Temple of Yamuga.
I know.
I would presume so.
But you're not in her realm.
Alright, we'll see.
She presides over the Fey Wild, not the Fey Dark.
Really? 21.
Okay, so you call out for guidance to your god, and you hear a very disconcerting, "You, what do you want?" Which sounds absolutely nothing like any time you've ever spoken to your god.
Did you move it like a new acolyte or what?
Sure, we'll go with that, it says.
Yeah, that doesn't sound promising. Who are you?
I am your avatar of your Yamuga, as you suggested, it says.
Mm-hmm. Well, alright, we'll try to leverage this or whatever I can.
Are you offering a sacrifice? I could do it for sacrifice.
Yeah, no sacrifices, please.
Well, obviously you haven't learnt how to do things properly. Would you like some instructions?
No. I know what sacrifice means.
You do? And yet you're not willing to do so. That does speak volumes about your devotion to your goddess.
Yeah, but I really don't think my goddess would appreciate a unnecessary sacrifice.
But what about a necessary sacrifice?
I would have to be convinced pretty well for that, though.
I'm sure you can convince yourself. What is it you wish without a sacrifice?
I wish I knew a little bit more about this place.
Okay. And asking as a wish is always a fantastic thing to do in a place like this, it says, as you realise you've just uttered similar words you made a mistake with previously.
Yes, I'll do it then.
Okay, so it says your knowledge has been gained as you see everything around you is just so much more brighter. It's almost as if it's like full daylight to you now, when it was a bit dim and shadowy beforehand. And you look around gazing at your chapel and place of worship and these minions before you.
Oh, great.
Oh no.
As you see, Zal has gained a full 2 feet of height.
What?
Is everyone getting taller?
Wearing finery unlike anything you've seen before. Looks like mastercrafted leathers in various layers with very fine craftsmanship, far more than most elves spend time doing. Look like if an elf had made this clothing, they would have spent maybe 50 years making it. And has almost shoulder-length flowing hair that is blowing in a breeze you can't feel.
Is this an illusion again?
And you can see as Zal has that almost like hero-like pose, standing before the altar.
Is this like the statue from before?
Almost as bad as the end one. Getting close to it. Though the glowing red eyes is a little disconcerting. But you also know she can no longer see a heartbeat.
Huh. Your heart's not beating.
At which point Zal can see the rest of the party and notices that amongst the party, only the winged elf no longer has a heartbeat either.
Right back at you.
Interesting.
And as far as Zal is concerned, this is his castle. It's got his name all over it anyway.
It does have...
I'd left hints that this might happen last time.
I'm glad they were...
I just didn't think foreshadowing would come so quickly.
Yeah.
Oh no! Don't worry. I did. Because Zal's doesn't. He's the smart. Actually, he's probably the smartest character. But he believes too much in the good in things, and that gets him into trouble a lot.
That's fine.
And you realise one of your minions here is perfect for you to open portals back to the real world to help you invade it.
AKA shovel my only relation that's currently good.
Yep. They found out that they can only get back if they take blood from an unwilling relative.
Oh dear.
And it has to be unwilling. It can't be, oh no, don't take it from me.
No, put up a fight.
Hence the magic missile blood spears from last session.
Yep. Yeah.
And while she was sort of like this last session, all her stuff that she did here seemed to be far more powerful than she remembered.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
As she seems to be invoking the Dark Realm every time she comes here.
Okay.
Which you've now got a bit of as well.
Yeah, when I get angry. Otherwise I feel like a muted child.
Don't worry, Hulk out, you'll feel much better.
I believe you.
And that leaves Chauvel sitting there between two vampiric looking people in his party and Drazzle. How is Chauvel feeling right now?
Why are we here?
I don't know. No one has told me.
Drazzle says, helping.
Great.
What?
Me become what I'm supposed to be? Question mark.
You becoming what you're supposed to be is not the best.
But wait, you I pointed out that I'm like, but you said this was a bad future, right?
Drazzle points at you and says, no bitey bitey. And you realise he sort of thought this was coming.
Mm. It's probably gonna be like Drazzle's mantra for like the next few hours.
Well, he hasn't pointed at Chauvel and said no bitey bitey yet, so...
Yeah, but I'm not entirely surprised by that. It's Chauvel.
And that's when you realise that the heart of this tower provides you protection from attack from outsiders. No matter where you go in the world, as long as the heart remains, you cannot be killed.
Well, that's a pretty good power.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So someone could unwish you and you still come back.
Mm. Yep. It's one hell of a phylactery.
And it's powered by the Fey Dark itself.
Oof. Okay.
A gift from your ancestor.
A gift from my ancestor.
Yes.
Okay, well, I guess that means we can explore this place without,
Well, there's nothing to explore. You know everything here.
Wow. Okay.
And you can change and configure it based on whim and will.
Okay.
As you realise that the person who gifted it to you does go by the name in other places as Dracula.
Sweet, so my ancestor is actually Dracula.
It is. Though he prefers Dracul to his descendants.
Major Castlevania vibes here.
Is he one of the people that often answers when I write in the book?
You get an instant response saying he created the book.
No, okay.
He was the first vampire. Though there are also 4 other first vampires in the world. A first vampire is someone who is not bitten.
Ah, interesting.
But I wasn't bitten. Oh, or was I?
A question pops into the book saying, "Would you like to be?"
No.
Then you could become a first vampire.
Huh.
And it notes then that first vampires gain their gift from a god they worship or provide an offering to, such as music.
So who are the other 4 current 4 first vampires?
There is the dwarf clan you're related to, known as Red Tooth. There is the Prince of Moldavia in Galantry himself.
Okay, so I've met him, I'm pretty sure.
You've met his people, but not him directly. He's
Right.
sort of, anytime you've met him has been via third-person illusion or some sort of sending.
Yeah.
He's managed not to be in people's presences who might be able to discern what he is.
Mm-hmm.
But you get that knowledge into your head as you think that.
Interesting.
And the last one comes from the undead lord assaulting Wengar, known as Denagarth, who are also trying to take the throne as the last remaining first vampire. All other vampires must obey the directives of a first vampire,
Interesting.
whether they're created by them or not.
Okay.
But
and out of these
if
vampires, who is helping the master?
None.
None.
None will serve the master. The master
Oh,
cannot
that's
compel
good
them.
news.
And none can, not even the first vampire can compel a vampire created through a first vampire. So any of the vampire children, as that case was, are under the control of only one first vampire at a time.
So what does that make me currently?
Potentially, you can potentially become a first vampire and stake your place in the world, literally.
Mm.
Not that that will kill a first vampire, but hey, you can have fun trying.
I guess the next thought that crosses my mind is like, does that mean I can't go into the sun anymore?
There's a pause for a moment and says, well, that all depends on how your powers manifest. Every first vampire has different powers, and most of its children mimic those powers.
Right. Okay.
Which means that there are currently 5 bloodlines of vampires in the world.
With different traits.
Mm-hmm.
Oh dear.
And I'm a descendant of you, presumably.
Not of the vampire line.
I'm not of the vampire line. But I'm a descendant somehow.
You're a descendant of family line before I became a vampire.
Oh. Okay.
But then again, half the world where you come from is also descended from me. Give yourself 5,000 years and humans breeding like rabbits, and hard to keep track of just how many descendants you have in the world.
That explains my slightly convoluted heritage, and also somehow being related to the rules.
Well, it is why I can set up shop in a country where one of my descendants became god and ruler of that country.
And is that Galantery?
No, that is Karamikos.
Oh, Karamikos. Okay. Because we're in Karamikos at the moment, aren't we?
No, you're in the Fey Dark, which is connected to various parts of the world via, to your perspective, roadways.
Yeah. No, but I mean, like, the portal we came in from was a portal in Karamikos.
It was, yes.
Yeah, okay, cool.
And you get the feeling that there are many portals around the place, but only the first vampires have access to it because their home is the Fey Dark, not the real world.
Okay.
Normal vampires live in the real world. Fey Dark are at home in the Fey Dark, which means if you kill them in the real world, they just go back to the Fey Dark.
Right.
No matter what you do to them, they go back to the Fey Dark.
That's just.
So I guess it answers the question that they can't use this network. Like, as in the Masters minions can't use this network to move.
No, we don't like to share.
Yeah, okay.
We barely tolerate each other. Which is why we're currently having... I think we're 5 years into the fight we're having in Galantry over who gets rights to that place. But when the others started fighting, I couldn't be left out, so I joined in. They may be younger than me, but hey, I've got the biggest stick.
Okay, fair enough. So you're the oldest first vampire.
Oldest first still remaining vampire, first vampire. Normally when one is created, there is a battle to see how many survive until we're down to 5.
Oh.
The gods don't like more than 5.
So if I became one, I would need to fight for my place?
Yep. They say there can only be 5.
Interesting. Is that something that would help? What's the word for this? Help in the effort to restore the world. and prevent the bastard from destroying.
Yes and no.
effectively, like, troops.
Becoming a first vampire means you can cross into his space and he's got no power over you. And then you can just start messing with his minions.
But what if I wanted your help?
Oh,
Messing with you doesn't sound like a good idea. As you said, you have the bigger stick.
yes. But, I've just been enjoying experiencing new things. I've fought his kind many times. But I try not to get in the way. I try not to get in the way of questers.
Okay.
Those that are reaching for godhood tend to have the biggest sticks around.
Mm.
In the game setting turns, they have to be level 35 to be a quester.
Mm. Yep.
So, when you're talking people with big sticks, they have big sticks.
Mm. Yep. Pack a punch. Alright.
Though he has angered the dragons, but none of the dragons will go near him.
Have we found out why that is?
Oh, he has studied dragon lore to the point where he can manifest as a dragon if he wishes to. Taking power
Right.
from the dragons and being able to dominate them if they come within distance of him. No dragon wishes to become a slave.
Right.
Only
Well,
dragons.
I think you perfectly answered my question whether if I become a first vampire, how, I guess, one, how quickly would this fight for, like, supremacy of the five take place?
Well, it depends on if one of them was to have an accident in the meantime.
Okay.
Accidents happen on battlefields.
So I don't know if
And you said they're currently fighting over the land tree.
They're fighting Evergalantry because there is rumors of something there to make someone a god. So he's been messing with each of the people. Whoever's seemed to be in charge gets knocked down a peg.
Okay.
He has no desire to see one of them become a god and wipe out the rest of them.
Mm.
Yeah.
And he's seen the gods. He doesn't really want to join them. They're rather boring and boorish.
So being a vampire is like on the cool side of being a wall.
It beats being one of those. How best to describe it? Decaying corpses that move are known as liches. So imagine that you become immortal, but your body doesn't stop decaying. And you can live far beyond the extent of your body has become mummified and still smells like the stench of death. And people want to scrape parts off you every now and then because lich dust is quite expensive. So you can actually make a living from your own scrapings.
Huh.
It's a well-known poison if you didn't know, he says.
I probably did, but I probably didn't give it much thought of where it ever came from.
Yes.
So
Depends on where they scratch it from. You'd be you wouldn't want to know.
Yes, that's why I've probably not given it much thought before.
Dracula is quite shy.
Well, he has met part of the party before. And he dominated another party.
Well, he's having fun.
This is the closest he's had to having a offspring take up the mantle of vampire. That wasn't forced upon it.
Yep, fair enough.
So it's a new experience for him.
Shy.
And as you find most stories of vampires, they end up dying when they stop experiencing new things. the inability to be surprised or see something different can be quite a party killer.
Mm.
So, anything else you wish to ask him, he says. Of course, what you don't know is the rest of the party has heard every word.
I feel like Paladin's looking at me like absolute disgust right
I thought I'd add that about the end of the conversation. You're right.
Vampire. How much should I screw with Paladin?
How much can you screw with the paladin?
Yeah.
Well, that's completely up to you. Normally that's between a man and a woman, it says. But
Okay.
he is a paladin, and he might be resistant to your ability to dominate and charm him. Her.
Not quite a minute. I didn't mean to like, not force him. But teasing was a often.
Though you will find that his mere touch, her mere touch will burn you.
I mean, I do have a countermeasure to that somewhat. And I kind of start thinking about my mother and my armor and all that.
Hands behind your back.
Well, if you were to unleash your mother in this place, it would be most potent. You do get in your head.
Hmm.
You don't think you can miss.
I didn't think she could miss anyway if I was aiming at Chauvel.
Well, you can tell exactly where Chauvel is by holding the arrow, so you can always aim for the heart no matter which way you're pointing. But you still have to roll. You realize in this space, there's no roll required. The arrow will guide itself. And Chauvel hears that too.
I'm kind of like, don't worry, I'm alright, and it's super moving. I guess one last question, if you know the answer, or could give us a clue. If the master is not using this network to move his minions around, do you have an idea of what one he is using?
He has connected the world tree to multiple locations in the world above, and he uses the extensions of the tree in the world as portals between places and realms. He can't enter the Fey Dark with fear of other things down here who don't approve of his actions swarming on him.
Mm-hmm.
Because he only represents one god out of 36 that reign in the Fey Dark. And not the most powerful. Thanatos has promised if he steps in the Fey Dark, he shall have a conversation until the end of time.
But from my understanding of what you just said, though, each of the current first vampires have a god and their powers are manifested through that god? Or from that god?
They can. They don't have to. Just that the powers of the first vampire is granted by a god. You can choose to keep honouring that god. Though, if you don't honour that god, there's a good chance they may offer that favour to another. So,
Right.
So courting the god that offered you the favour may stop them offering it to another.
And
It's supposed to be the first
which
child.
god did I just offer to? Did I offer to you or someone?
Yumurika can't hear anyone here.
So what would that mean for what's happening now?
Well, it could quite easily be Loki, though he doesn't actually expect Loki would bother with vampirism. Not his favourite trick. But at Xantiotl would more than happily corrupt you down a path you didn't intend,
Okay.
as he's known as the Corruptor God. Orcus would be more than happy to add you to his list of minion undeads who will do his whim or lose their powers. The Queen of Darkness also offers people undead because undead is her domain. She protects all creatures of death and the night.
Yeah.
And you do
And
know...
we've had contact with her in the past.
yes, you did try to beat her up in the past. Well, her avatar at least. She thought it was cute.
Duly noted.
And then there is... to be honest, out of the 36 gods of entropy, he thinks that there's about 10 that deal with undeath, but it changes over time. It's just so many to keep track of. And gaining a new champion would definitely be a boon to any of them. Of course, you can serve more than one god at a time. There's nothing wrong with that. Though a goddess of life and a goddess of death would be quite interesting combination.
Yes.
But you already have that with your cleric of Yamuga and your study of necromancy.
Yeah, yes, I've been walking that fine line for a very, very long time now. Alright, well, I have a bit to think about.
Though the trick to it is you need to drain someone completely for it to, as by intent, for it to actually stay.
Okay.
So you can't. You're not just a vampire. You're given the chance, and if you do not do so by the next time you experience sunrise, you'll probably not get another chance.
Alright, so given that I've already had a second chance in the last day, it's quite something.
Well, the other one is you did imbue blood from the food that you ate, which basically was one of the conditions of creating spawn of a vampire. You can embed it in food and feed it to a population. Free food.
Right.
And then if they were to go ahead.
I messed up because I ate the food. Sort of. That's all.
He doesn't see it as a mess up. He saw it as a lost opportunity. He almost had a minion. But then the minion came back and he saw a different opportunity arise.
To turn me into a equal?
No, to turn you into a rival.
Or rival.
Not an equal rival, but a rival nevertheless.
Right. But again, from the sounds of it, you're not someone I would like to come up against willingly.
Oh, many people come up against him willingly.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
Few of them have even seen him more than once.
Huh. Do you ever form alliances?
Many a time.
Huh. Hey,
Though he tends to outlive most alliances. Through various means.
Alright. I guess, food for the thought, pun intended.
Well, you do have food with you.
Yeah, well,
And you are both growing hungry, I can hear it.
I don't really want to eat my paladin. It probably doesn't taste nice. Or she probably doesn't taste nice.
Well, there is a slight side effect that if either of you feast on the paladin, you will most likely die.
Well, that's true. I also don't want to kill my friend Razzle.
Well, he says, you hear this query, who's Drazzle?
A friend.
A friend. I can only see one beating heart there beside the other spawn of vampire potential.
And that would be the paladin, I'm guessing.
Of course. Shining like a beacon in the night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just, don't worry about it.
So no more questions?
I don't think so.
Then I shall ask your potential rival questions. You hear a voice into your mind. After having heard everything else that had transpired.
Yeah.
So, does the elf child have any questions she would like to ask?
Why am I here?
Well, apparently you've been given a chance at immortality.
even if the elf tree was to die.
Well, you would no longer be an elf.
That's true.
If you are an undead, you are no longer of the species you were before you became it. So you'd be free to live on after the trees turn to dust. It would be rather poor planning on the elven god's view of things. A fatal flaw in his design.
I agree.
But he never really did study science.
It's an aversion to technology. Why am I a child?
You had a fixation with playing music that you then regressed into the appearance you were at the time you played it.
Interesting.
Again, it will also fade once you get sunlight for the first time. Unless, of course, you were to fulfill your hunger. Then you might be stuck in that dual form for the rest of your existence.
That's unfortunate.
As would your offspring.
Right.
A world full of children that would grow to monstrosities when they get angry.
That is both hilarious and terrifying.
Well, who would say no to a child asking for a hug?
Who doesn't want to try to comfort a screaming child before they feast? Oh, that is a scary, scary thought.
He approves.
I have no idea where I want to go with this.
That's okay. He says, if you have any questions, I'm sure you can reach out and ask the gods for assistance. And then the paladin feels a smirk in the back of her mind before the voice passes on. But you all got to hear what everyone else heard. So
Yeah.
all of you felt the smirk in the back of the paladin's mind. And you also hear this faint sort of ringing in the distance, like someone's just rung the dinner bell.
Okay.
As you're both glancing at the paladin.
I don't want to die for eating.
And then you hear Johnson go, "No bitey, bitey."
I go, don't worry, girls, I'm trying not to.
I've been given an option of staying forever a child and turning into a monster, or ignoring my hunger and going back to being an adult.
Yes, you never have to go through puberty. Except every time you get angry, you have this instance of reliving puberty.
God, that sounds awful.
Vampirism is a curse, not a blessing.
I'm seeing that. I just have to try to deny the hunger.
Rozel's not quite sure where his curse is in this, because he seems to be seeing positive after positive.
Yeah, I mean, the offers are really tempting. You know, apart from the whole blood draining thing. The rest of it sounds cool. And could potentially, in the back of Zol's mind, it solves a lot of his issues with his family and time and sorting it all out, because he'll have all the time in the world.
He will. And then he can make more family.
You can have as big a family as you like. quite easily.
And while you're thinking this, you also realize that you were in another node of the vampires when you had travelled into Rockholm. So that keep that you delved into that had the forge that you broke, the forge was keeping the vampires out.
Yes.
And so it was basically a lock on the door to that part of the Fey Dark that stopped them being able to walk back into Rockholm.
Yes. Which is why it's now a
The dwarven
vampire
vampires.
slash zombie infested wasteland.
Yep.
But that would do it.
It was an impulse of the player at the time.
Mm.
I let it happen.
So the player that got described to you as the dwarf and androgynous elf and fairy princess was that person.
Yep. Okay. Just going off our discussions with Dracula, then you seem to be going after the master, because no one's conveyed that to me. And we're in the wrong place, because the master's using the World Tree, not the Fey Dark.
They wanted to find out if the master could use it. Because if he could, he could bypass them into Galantry, and wanted to know if the Alphatians could use it as well, because then they could bypass it into Galantry. Because if they could avoid fighting on land, then they could end the war in moments. Because the Wednesday night party destroyed their sky fleet. Because they had quite a few thousand sky vessels that allowed them to send magic from above. Imagine a meteor swarm sent by 1,000 wizards.
Yeah, that doesn't seem fun.
That was their plan across the whole region.
Yeah, just scorched earth.
Anyway, we got our answer. Only.
You didn't ask about the Alphatians, right?
Well, they know that the Alphatians weren't listed. They had an area called Denagath, which is in Norwell to the north. The Alphatians don't control anything there. The Rockholm had one, Karamikos had one, Galantry had another one. Who did I leave out? Well, there are 5, so I can't remember where the 5th one came from. So the 5th one may have shut down by now.
Okay, so there's an answer then, that this is not a path that they can choose. Especially if the master cannot come anywhere near here without coughing some pretty serious heat.
Yes, the god known as the Grim Reaper himself has let others know that he's interested in having a long conversation with the master.
Yep.
Because it's not one of his questers. And he's currently the 2nd most powerful god of entropy.
Now, who's the most powerful god?
The goddess Hel from the Norse religion.
Oh, right. Yep.
The Wednesday night party was responsible for toppling him from power. He was the most powerful god of entropy. They made him lose his seat.
It's going to come at a cost.
It does.
Yep.
But hey, it does mean that more people are watching what she's doing than what he's doing.
Okay, well, I'm inclined to leave. Just
Well, while you're inclined to leave, I'm inclined to find my friends. And given that currently I have unlimited control of this plane,
You can sense that of all the people here, you can only sense 2 other people here besides you.
and they are...
Chauvel and Samir.
And I don't know where my other friends are?
You don't know, but you can see Drowsel, you just can't sense him.
Oh. You're awfully good at hiding.
Drowsel just looks at you puzzled.
Yeah, I'm not going to expand on that. Okay, well that's a bit worrying. Where would have our friends got up to?
Well, they may have tried to follow you somehow, or left the castle. Upon leaving the castle, they could be anywhere in this realm. Or they could have asked a god and gotten a portal out, because there are many other ways out of the Fey Dark.
Mm,
You were just trying to come back from where you came from.
probably should have asked Uncle Dracul where the rest of our friends went. Probably still could.
Okay, you just get one word response. Galantry.
Oh, entry. Oh boy.
And much amusement on the other end.
You keep my friends out of the entry, really. And they're probably just here, like, carefully in the back end.
Well, you don't actually think they're in the Fey Dark at the moment.
No. And my only clue is Galantry, apparently. Thanks, Uncle Dracul.
And you know that if you go there, you will most likely end up in the War of Supremacy amongst the vampires. Because the sun doesn't rise in that region. So you can't wait till sunrise, because if you don't see the sunrise, it hasn't happened.
Mm-hmm. You just get hungrier and hungrier until you cave. Yeah. I don't want to go there. I'll be honest. I'm keen to get back to my former self. Don't get me wrong, the tower was great, but...
And you do know that that fountain you found where you created the portal using Chauvel's blood, taken unwillingly, putting those words in there specifically, can actually take you to the other portals.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, because I had that, like, riddle.
I had a riddle with a bunch of stones. I'm just going to duck to the bathroom. If you can remember some of it. You could always...
I had not. I would have to go back and look at the other video. Because I did not write that down. I probably should. Because it was kind of important. I think it was 7, I think, clues from memory. Sorry, I know we are totally useful right now.
Oh, it's very confusing to me.
Welcome to the Dark Fae with your two useless guys, Chauvel
Welcome to the party. We're useless.
Welcome to the party where we fall into the same mistake we did literally 2 weeks ago.
It's for me. It's been you arrive. You're told you're here to help. You get turned into a child. You turn into a demon briefly, and then you find out that someone here is related to Dracula.
Welcome to the campaign.
It's been a day.
But at least we got answers this time. We didn't get it. We didn't get those answers last time, so
Now we can leave.
Now, yes, but our friends are supposedly in Galantry.
Leaving. We all knew they were going to be in Galantry.
No, we didn't.
Yes, we did. As players did.
No, actually, that was a bit of a surprise.
I knew where I was going. We're like, we're going to wander on in here, and Martin will just go, yep, they've all teleported back to Galantry.
Well, the portal network did lead there.
Yep.
So basically they have one portal comes out here, one comes out here, one comes out down here, one comes out up here. Where the other one comes out, they don't know.
There are flaws to using a network where you don't know all the doors are.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, so that is room number 78.
I think we might have to go. It sounds like me is just
Okay. So both of you or just you?
I mean, I'll try and put her to sleep, but I might be off for a little bit.
Yeah, I can understand that. And Josh, you're sounding a bit tired.
I'm very tired. I've done day 4 of 6.
Working as a nurse.
So yeah, I've been 4 days on. I've got 2 more to go.
Yep.
Gonna be a long weekend.
And I'm on a 7 o'clock start tomorrow. But I'm still here, half here, sleeping on my table.
I appreciate that. I've been up since 1 a.m.
No.
That's when my children decided they wanted to try to start the day. It was not appreciated.
Then you'll get to the point where it's like, we don't want to get up.
God, let them get to that point.
Unless, of course, you're running late.
Oh yeah, no. Throw them both over my shoulders and drag them out. That's how that goes.
Okay, so you had a rhyme when you looked at a fountain with instead of water, it had a glowing flame inside it.
Pretty.
And it said, cast a stone into the fire. Violet leads to the mountain spire, which you'd assume to relate to the Dwarven Keep.
Mm-hmm.
Orange to the castle's peak. You're not exactly sure where that will take you. Red is if lore is what you seek. Again, that doesn't help you. Green to where the coffins hide. Indigo to the master's bride. Blue to the ancient magic's womb. And yellow to the master's tomb. So you're not exactly sure where each of them will take you.
Interesting.
But it was a rhyme of colour taking you to open portals, and if they were to put the blood of the unwilling relation into the fire, then it would open a portal sending them back.
Okay.
So the assumption was that the other ones wouldn't send you out of the Feywild, but we'd take you to the Feydark would take you to those locations in the Feydark.
Seems like a reasonable conclusion to me.
And one of the things they could have done a picture of, but they didn't. All the things that they have pictures of. So that is what the werewolf looked like that they freed.
Yeah.
It was just a nice picture that they put in there, which was very unassuming for a horror novel.
Okay. Well.
So, what does Samir want to do? You want to leave. Unfortunately, you can't leave yourself because you don't have a relative here to steal stuff from unwillingly.
That's true. I do not. That's a problem. I am rather beholden to the rest of the party on this matter.
And at the moment, you think only because if Zal is showing vampiric tendencies, may not actually have blood that you can take.
Yep. Yeah, it's just the one beating heart that I can see. Just need to not.
Well, you can see Drelzel's beating heart, but you can't hear him. You can sort of hear a bit of Chauvel. When Chauvel's not talking, that is.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Interesting. I'm going to try to resist the urge to bite.
No, looking at Drelzel, you don't think you can actually bite through his scales.
I do have the teeth of a child. Would make that hard.
That, and he has the ability to increase his size if he gets annoyed with people.
Oh, me too. Which, don't get me wrong, it's definitely a neat little combat trick. Oh look, I'm a small child, nothing, not a threat, not a threat. Oh, you're dead now.
You say, "Oh, I'm getting angry. Oh, scary." Whoop.
Oh, I made a mistake. Child is 10 feet tall and does not look happy.
Yeah. And the large creature can now reach you from across the room.
Got you.
Okay, so they may be longer than we hope, so we can finish up a little bit early.
Yeah, that's fine. As I said, I've been up for quite a long time, so not a problem for me to wrap up if the party wants to call it there.
Well, it also means they're not rushed trying to put their kid to sleep.
Yeah, that's fine. Totally.
So I'll switch it over to the end thing for them then, so they don't have to worry too much about missing.